What's up, guys? We're Roland here. This week on 3D NerdStop, we're going to print ourselves out a Lighthouse. Alright guys, here's the model we're going to print out this week. Here's our Lighthouse. So this is what it looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to download all the files to it, and then we'll switch over to Cure and start doing our setup. Here we go. We're going to do all of our prints with the same settings all the way through. We're going to do it with a layer height of 0.2, a layer height of 0.2, shell thickness of 0.8, top and bottom 0.8, a fill density of 15%. We're going to do our printer speed at 60. We're going to do our print temperature at 210 and our bed temperature at 50. We are going to put support material everywhere because there's a lot of overhangs here and there in this model. So we're going to have support material everywhere on that. As you can see here, this is the base of the whole thing. It's going to take 11 hours and 39 minutes, 55.76 meters of material, which is 166 grams of material. So we'd save that off to the SD card. Okay, here's our second model. This would also be printed in red, just like the base. This is actually the third tier up, so it's body part 2. Okay, this would also have support material printed everywhere because inside here there's a brim that has a 90-degree on it. I'm sorry, no, this one does not have a 90-degree on it, but the window does need support material. At least on mine it does. You could try and print it without it, and you might get away with it. I decided to put support material in. This one will take 8 hours and 36 minutes, 41.26 meters, and 123 grams. Alright, so here's our third model. This is the top, the very, very top of the Lighthouse. This will also be in red. Okay, so this is 2 hours and 28 minutes. It's 10.27 meters, which is 31 grams of material. Now, all of our settings have been the same. We haven't changed any of the settings over here throughout this. There is, if you look underneath here, a ridge here, so I did put support material in it. You probably don't really need to, but I figured I'd try it. Okay, so that takes care of all of our red pieces. So now we're going to switch over here and do our first white piece. So here's our first white piece. This is the section body, so you have the base, which is red, then you're going to have a white piece. This will be the first white piece on the body. As you can see, it's going to take 9 hours and 14 minutes. It's 45.61 meters of material, which is 136 grams. Alright, and the rest of our print settings are still the same. Alright, then we're going to print our balcony here. This is, you have the base, then a white piece, then a red piece, and then the balcony with the doorway on it. Okay, so this is going to take 6 hours and 15 minutes. It's 29.53 meters, which is 88 grams. Now, I've already printed all this, and I can tell you just by trial and error, you might want to run this model through a fixer, because if you look right here, it's kind of hard to see, but the top is not connected to the bottom here. Now, I did not notice this when I printed mine, but because of that, and I have support material set on everywhere, it actually printed support material between the two, and adhered it in place. So mine's fine, it doesn't fall off. I just left all the support material on the inside because when you look inside here, there's a rim up here, so this entire thing gets filled with support material. So I left the support material attaching all of it together, so mine's fine. You'll see when we get to the end. But just a little thing, if you're going to print this one, you might want to send this through a repairer so it repairs this. Okay, but to print this piece is 6 hours and 15 minutes. It's 29.53 meters, which is 88 grams. Alright guys, here's the next model. This is on top. This goes on top of the piece we just looked at. It's 1 hour and 53 minutes. It's 8.19 meters, which is 24 grams of material. This is where your light goes on top. And then we have our clear piece. Now this clear piece, I had to change the dimensions on it because the original model does not fit inside the cap, the top. So I had to change this clear piece to 50.5 by 50.5, and I thought it looked a little short. I didn't think it was tall enough, so I increased it to 50.5 in height. So I made it all 50.5 all the way around, and now it fits beautifully on the model, as you will see later. All right, guys, so that's all of our models. Well, we got them saved all off the SD cards, so we'll take them over to the printer, get the printer heated up, and get her printing. guys, here we go. Here's the model all printed out and ready to assemble. Please excuse the mess. I have kind of run out of space, especially for big models like this to put together. It's really hard to film it because I don't have a lot of space in well, where I'm living right now. The new house should be ready in about 5 weeks. Hopefully we'll be in it about 6-7 weeks from now, and then I'll actually have a nice place to do all this. I'm going to try and set it up really nice and make a good place for it. But for now, this is what we got, so this is what we're going to deal with. As you can see, we got everything printed out. Like I said earlier, I had to make modifications to this model, and I showed you what modifications I made. The clear came out pretty good. I mean, if you all have printed with clear before, you know that it basically only lets light pass through it. You can't really see through it. It's not clear. It just allows light to pass through it, which is fine. So we got this all set up here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through, and we got the doors and windows and all that. So we'll go through and we'll glue the doors in place. Here's one of the doors. So we'll take this and we'll like glue this door in place down here. It fits pretty well to the model. I mean, it's not perfect, but this one fits pretty good. The one thing I did notice on this model when I was printing it is this piece here. These two pieces aren't actually attached to each other. At least it does not appear to be. If you really look, and I don't know if I can get it to focus in on it well enough. Let's see if we can get it to focus. I don't know how well you can see that, but if you look between here and here, you can see there's support material in here between the two, because I did support material everywhere. But this is pretty sturdy right now because I have support material on the inside and I just left it all in there. So I left all the support material it printed that went up the inside wall to take care of the brim up here. And I just left it in there. So that left that adhered in place even though the two are not actually attached. I don't know if you can see that. The other problem I ran into with on this one is this is supposed to be the door for up here. And as you can see, this door is much bigger. Oops, come on, focus please. There you go. Y'all can see this is much bigger than the doorway. So we're not going to put a door on top. We're just going to leave it open. Yeah, it would look better if it had the door, and if I wanted to, I could probably find a way to cut the bottom of the door off or figure out how to resize just this one door, but right now I'm not going to worry about it. I might later on for the model just keep resizing this piece down. It just needs to be shorter. It's right in the width, it's just too tall. So I could model it down and get it to fit. I don't know what happened there. When I was trying to clean out all of the support material in here, because I messed with my settings with my support material by accident on this print, and this was really hard to get out. But that's because I messed up my settings. I have fixed them, and all the footage you saw when I did all the settings was correct. You can also see on this one a little bit, if you can kind of see how white that is there, and then you can see that that's not as white there. That's not a trick of the light. This filament, the filament I use for this is Inland, and it's a really good filament. It prints really well. It does really nice prints, and it's only like $15 a roll, which is great. I mean, it's not an expensive filament. But because it's not an expensive filament, especially on the white, it's not very color consistent. The color throughout the roll can vary just a little bit, and sometimes you get this dirty look in your model, which is fine. I'll live with it. It's where I'm planning on putting this in the new house. It's going to be so high up nobody will ever notice it, and if they do, they'll just think it aged. So I'm not too worried about it. I did accidentally break off one of the pedestals here, so we're going to have to glue that back in place. It hopefully won't be too difficult to do. It should just glue right back in. So that's one of the first things we're going to do is glue that back on real quick. So we'll just put this out, move this out of the way. By the way, all the windows fit beautifully. You can see this better on the red. The windows look really good when you glue them in place, when you put them in place. The windows fit nicely, so that'll be nice. And that looks really good on the red. You can't really see the white on white, but that's okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to glue this in place real quick, just to repair it. there's some glue left in here. Yeah, there's a little bit. Just put a drop of glue there. Woo, that's a big drop, but it's a drop of glue. And then we will put this in place, and we will let it sit there for about 15 to 20 seconds. We'll say 20 to 30 actually on this, because I did get an awful big glop of glue. Alright, hopefully while we glue everything else in place, that'll dry enough to where we can use it and it won't damage it. So we'll just set that off to the side and let that dry. I guess the first thing we'll do, the next thing we'll do is glue the door in place. So we'll just get a little bit of glue on here, just enough to get the door to stick. There we go. Take the front door, put it in place like so, and then we're going to give that about 20 seconds to dry. There we go. Now that should be stuck in place pretty good. Seems to be. So we have the front door installed. Now we'll install a window. So we'll just do that real quick. Window. Make it nice and put the pretty side out. And put that in place. And give that about 15 to 20 seconds to dry. Alright. And that seems to be in place. Looks pretty good. Now we'll do the red one real quick. There we go. Put the pretty side out. And have it all over our fingers. And hold that in place for 20 seconds. Alright, that's 20 seconds. That should have it. Hopefully y'all can't hear the thunder too well. I'm hoping it's not showing up too much on the recording, but there's a storm going. There's a storm starting up outside. Okay. So the next thing we've got is this piece here gets this on top of it. Now I want to hang, I'm actually going to put some lights in here so it'll light it up. So I want the lights to go in. There's a slot here for actually feeding like a string of lights down into the model, which is what I'm going to do. So actually technically I'm going to string the lights up through the bottom, but that's being technical. So that will allow light to come through the front door and stuff. And of course you line all the doors and everything up, and I'll back the camera up when I put it all together. So I'm going to want to glue that in place so that slit allows the lights to hang correctly in front of the light. So we will just throw a little bit of glue on that. There we go. And then we'll take this and try and square it to the way I want it. And just pop it in place. And we'll give that about 20 seconds to dry there. Alright, so now we've got that glued on. That should stay put. And you don't have to glue that piece on. That piece clicks in place pretty good. I just wanted to glue it on so during the move and stuff it doesn't mess it up. Now one thing I did notice is all of these, I don't know how well this will focus in on them. We'll see if we can get it to. There we go. I don't know how well you can see them. These pedestals are okay. They're not the prettiest print. From a distance they look fine. Up close you can see all the Z's in them and they're a little rough. But they printed okay. They printed well enough. Honestly, what I probably should have done was when I was printing these pieces, I printed them a little bit slower. I had the speed a little high. If I'd have printed a little bit slower, I bet you I could have gotten some better results out of this. But that's okay. We're learning, and we'll keep making mistakes here and there, and we'll keep fixing our mistakes. Alright, I'm not going to glue the sections together because I want to be able to break this down to move it. So what we are going to do is we're going to put the sections together real quick. We're going to stack them up. As you can see, that's nice. And then we'll stack that up there. Now let me move the camera back a little bit here so y'all can see a little bit more. There we go. And you can see we put this piece up here on top. And let me turn it towards me real quick so I can see the line. There we go. That looks pretty good. As you can see, that's what it looks like at that point. Now we still have the clear piece here that needs to go on top, which would go up here, like so. Then let's light out all the way around. So I'm going to glue the clear piece into the top real quick. There we go. So now that, it's not perfectly dry, but it's dry enough. Now there is no track up here for this to sit in, and I don't want to glue it together right now, so I'm just going to have to set it up here and kind of feel center it. We do need to do one more detail to the top up here. Let's see if I can tip y'all up just a little bit more so you can see the whole thing. So you can see the whole thing now. So let me grab the last little piece we need to before we add the lighting to it, and we'll do that real quick. Alright guys? Alright guys, what I'm doing here is I've got a spool of white, and I'm just taking about a loop and a half or so off, because the spool's almost empty, which should be enough to feed around the base of this, I'm hoping. Hopefully I'm not guessing wrong here. I made a couple of them a little longer than the others because the top doesn't need as much. So now that we've done that, we can put that off to the side. But now basically what we need to do, I need to see, yeah, that'll be fine. That'll work just great. You can take that off of there for a minute, and we'll take this down. Oops. That off. And basically what we're going to do is, you see the little holes in here, if it'll focus. Well, there's little holes in here, so we're going to feed this piece of filament around these holes. So it's going to make the handrail. That's a pretty ingenious way of coming up with the handrail, if you ask me. I don't know that if I was the one designing this model, that I actually would have thought of that. I would have probably tried to make a handrail, but they were smart enough to think, oh, well, we can just use the filament as the handrail. Because, well, that's all it needs is one piece of filament going around, and it's about the right size. And then we're going to feed it through the last hole here over on this one. Gets a little stiff as you get going. It's hard to pull it through, but you can do it. And then we're going to take that, and as you can see now, we have them overlapping. Let's see here. It's right there, and if we can get it to focus, there you go. Now you can see it. Where they overlap, I'm going to cut it right there. So they're basically touching each other. Fantastic. And then I'm going to kind of feed it backwards just a little bit. And I want to feed one side in the hole. Oops. I want to try and feed both pieces. It's really hard to try and do, so I can show y'all. What I want to do is I want to line the two pieces up and feed them both in here so they're both inside one of these, which will make it solid. So give me just a second to do that, and I'll show y'all. There we go. There we go. Now as you can see, both ends are inside this one pedestal, and you can't see them. It looks like a solid rail all the way around now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all the rest of this real quick. I know that wasn't the best way to show it, guys. I'm sorry. I did my best. But I got it done on the first one. Now I'm going to go all the way around again and do the top real quick, and we'll get all that done real fast. Alright? Alright, guys. There you go. I got them all on. You can see them now. Looks good. Looks like it's got railings on it, which is the idea. So now we can put this back on here. See if we can get it lined up real quick. Line that back up. And now we can put this up here. Now eventually I will glue these sections together when I'm going to set it up permanently in the new house. So now what we need to do is we need to string our LEDs. I have a little setup here. I have it on a remote, and as you can see, I've got a string of LEDs. So we will take that and we're going to run that through the model here. Go. Okay, so we're going to take it and figure out how long we want it to be, because I want all the wiring here can just sit on the base. So I want it to be roughly that long. Put that up there and get a little better idea. I want it roughly like so. So yeah, this one right here ought to do pretty good for the top. So if I mark that as my top, fold it over, and then take this and say, well, I want to let this hang so far inside. So if I cut it off, we'll let it go a little bit back down inside. No big deal. There's a place on these light strips. I don't know if y'all have ever used these. See if I can get it to focus. Nope, doesn't want to focus on that little object. There's a little scissor place that tells you where to cut it. It's not usually very difficult to cut. So you just cut along that line and boom. And you can just separate that from the reel. And you still have a complete circuit. So now when I turn this on, I have a strip of lights. And a lot of you probably know all this, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not that difficult. I got this, the remote and the controller here from eBay. I want to say it was $2 or $3 from China. Yeah, it took a week to get, but it wasn't bad. I don't know if I can find them again. I'll just put a link in the description to eBay showing a whole bunch of them. I got, and it comes with these little plugs that you can just plug in like so. And then that clips onto here. And I got these on Amazon, and I got the little battery connectors on Amazon as well. I'll put a link in the description to all of this, as well as the LED lights, so you can see all of it. Alright guys, I got a string here now tied to the top of the lights. It's just a thread. And the reason I have two sides of lights here is because this will be up inside the clear, so I want the clear to kind of glow all the way around. Eventually I think I'll make a piece that goes in here that I can tape all the lights to and have it all taped nice and straight all the way down inside the model. But for right now, I'm just going to let it hang. So let's see if I can get this to go in the top real quick here. The top has a hole in it. See? So I have a hole here that I can pull the string of lights up in. And then for right now, see, I'm trying to figure out how to get this to tie around the top here. I'm sure there's a better way to do this than the way I'm doing it, but I am not the greatest at tying things, so I am just doing what I can. There we go, that seems to be holding it. We'll do it again real quick. And for right now, I'll leave the excess string just hanging on. Oop, no we don't, it broke. But that's okay. The piece is hanging now. It's secured. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And it looks good. It's kind of hard to see it. I don't know if y'all even can. So then we'll just take the lights and fish them down through the slit in the top of this one. And let them go all the way down. We have the two sets here together. Get those to go in the slits. There we go. Now we've got lights in the top, and it's going all the way through it. So now we can take this piece off real quick and put all this together. Alright, so I'm just hooking this. Now I just have a little clip here that makes this real easy to put together. It's kind of hard to show on the camera. I'm sorry guys, I don't have a setup for this. Test it. Good. So now we can just drop our battery and everything down through the hole in the top. Like I say, when I get to the new house, I'm not going to do this with the battery. Let that just go all the way down. Woo. See if we can line this up. Like I say, I want to make something that goes up the inside of this that I can hook the lights to. It'll help keep everything in place and make it look better and be prettier and all that. But right now, this is what I've got made, so this is what we're going to go with. Okay, so we've got it all lined up. And if we turn it on, that's an interesting look. You can see the lights here. So it's telling me I don't want to run a string like that all the way through it. It's telling me what I want to do is bunch the lights up in a section up here and have them glow downwards to light up these windows. It does a pretty good job up here. Let me turn off my big lights here real quick, and you can maybe see it a little better. I mean, this is just an experimental print. But now you can kind of see it. Like I say, these lights, you can see they're up against this plastic, so you can really see them. If I ball them up in the top up here, they'll glow better, and I think you'll just get the light out through the windows, which is what I would shoot for. But I can take care of that later. It's an easy fix. So there's basically our print. You can see the top of it lights up nicely. I can even turn off one more light, give you all a little more. So you can see the top lights up nicely. Like I say, I probably won't run the string through it like this. I'll probably do the same thing I did up here and create a set of lights up here so the whole lights downward. But this is like the first time I tried to do anything with this, so I just had to see what it would do. But as you can see, the top lights up nicely. I mean, it's not going to light up a room, but if you have this sitting up high and the pitch black is like a little guiding night light, it would probably work pretty good. Plus, it looks kind of cool. I kind of like lighthouses. So there we go, guys. There's our lighthouse. Thank y'all for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, have a great day.